Grace and peace to you from Jesus Christ, the carpenter, the Son of Mary, and the Son of God. Amen. Well, friends, recently I had a member of Trinity approach me after worship one Sunday to tell me about her experience as a woman in a male-dominated field. She described walking into rooms to surprised faces. People expected a man, not a woman. Some people even walked out of that room when they realized that a woman would be in charge in that room. And she asked me, have you experienced anything like this before? I bet people are surprised when you preach sometimes. Anytime I lead a funeral, either here at Trinity or at a funeral home, people who have never met me ask, "Are you the pastor?" And friends, it takes every ounce of my self-control not to blurt out, "No, I'm just wearing this get-up for fun." You see, friends, in asking that question, people are saying, "You're not what I expected. I didn't expect a young female pastor to be leading this service." And just last week, I was having a conversation with a little girl. She's 8 years old. And I was telling her about a few days before this conversation that I had baptized a baby. And without skipping a beat, she exclaimed, "I didn't know girls could baptize babies. I want to do that." As I reflected on our story for today, friends, I couldn't help but think about my own experiences as a young woman and as a pastor. Now, I want to be clear that this isn't me getting up here to complain or air out grievances. Rather, it is to say that I identified with what was being said about Jesus and how Jesus reacted to those comments and those questions. In our story for today from Mark's Gospel, the people of Nazareth wonder, where did this man get this? What is this wisdom given to him? What deeds of power are being done by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary? When Jesus returns to his hometown, people are surprised. This is not what they expected of their Jesus. They certainly didn't expect the carpenter to go on and become this preacher, this teacher, this healer. And they certainly didn't expect him to become the Son of God. The villagers of Nazareth underestimated Jesus. There have been many moments in my life when people have looked at me, spoken to me, treated me in ways that made me feel underestimated, undervalued, because I wasn't what they expected. And what does Jesus think of their comments and questions? Well, the author of Mark says Jesus was amazed at their unbelief. Now, friends, this word amazed could also mean astonished, wondered, surprised. I imagine Jesus couldn't believe that the people of Nazareth were saying these things to him. These were folks who have probably known him since he was a child. He might have expected them to get it, might have expected them to accept him for who he was, for who he had become. I wonder if some of you would be surprised to hear that I've experienced those feelings of being underestimated and undervalued in the church. We expect the church to be a place where good things happen. We don't expect to be hurt in the church because church is a place where we want, where we need to be seen, heard, and valued for all that we are. But honestly, the church isn't perfect, and neither are its people. It's not just in the secular world where these things are felt and experienced. But I'm wondering, friends, when have you felt underestimated or undervalued? Those feelings hurt, right, friends? On the flip side, I'm wondering, when have you underestimated or undervalued someone else? Because we've been on both sides of this, right, friends? At the beginning of the summer, I had the opportunity and the honor to preach Camp Hill High School's baccalaureate service here at Trinity. And I asked the graduates some similar questions that night. And here's some of that message for you right now. Has anyone ever told you that you are too young to understand? Or made you feel like you or your voice didn't matter because of your age? Or told you to wait your turn because you're young and you've got time to wait? Have you felt dismissed or ignored because of your age? It can be frustrating when you're treated differently because you're young. I'll be honest with you, friends. I sometimes worry about the generations coming up behind mine. I wonder, are we doing everything to support them, encourage them, and equip them to become the future of the church? Are we guilty of underestimating them or undervaluing them? When Trinity's director of faith formation, Moses, asked me to consider being a leader and a chaperone for our youth attending the ELCA youth gathering this summer in New Orleans, I jumped at the chance, friends, because I wanted to be a part of their journeys and a part of this transformative experience for them. I've told many of you that experiencing the wider church changed the trajectory of my life. Seeing the church and what it can do and what it can be made me want to be a part of it and a part of its work. And so now I am beyond excited to see where God is active in the lives of these 8 young people in just a week. And I am so excited to see where God is propelling our church forward into the future in skilled, talented, and gifted hands. The beautiful thing here, friends, the good news, is no matter who we are, no matter where we're from, no matter what we do, all of us are equipped by God to preach the good news and to serve others. We are never too young, we're never too old. No label this world tries to give us can hinder us from doing what God has called us to. In our story for today, Jesus prepares his disciples to do those same things, to preach the good news and to serve others. So I'm wondering, friends, how has God equipped you to preach and to serve? And better yet, friends, there is more good news. God does not send us out on those missions alone. Just as Jesus sent his disciples out 2 by 2, we are sent out together. We are sent out to encourage, support, and love one another in all the ways God calls us to preach and to serve. How are you encouraging and supporting someone else in this community? Encouraging them to use their gifts to serve. How are you making sure that they know they are loved, valued, heard, and seen here at Trinity? Loved for who they are, for all that God has created them to be. Because that's it, friends. God has created each of us exactly as we are. As God created us, God gave us gifts and talents, personalities, and quirks. And then God calls us to use those things. God calls us to be followers of Jesus. God calls us to be something, to be someone for the sake of God's church, God's world. Sometimes carpenters become teachers. Sometimes girls become pastors. We might not be what the world expects of us or what others expect of us. But friends, you better believe it. We are exactly who God created us to be. And thanks be to God for that. Amen.